Good day to everyone, and welcome to the second episode of The Bridge to Freedom. And today we're going to be talking about the Ground Zero experience. Ground Zero experience is something that we will learn for the next few minutes. First, let me give you a little background on what Bridge to Freedom is about. So, for those who might be joining us for the first time, it's important that you know why this program is something that you want to be part of. Bridge to Freedom, like I always say, freedom costs. There is a price of freedom. You might not have been the one that paid the price. Someone paid the price for you. So there is always a price that you pay to enjoy freedom. But once the price is paid, then the work begins. The onus is on us to ensure that every moment, every situation that will come our way, that we are ready to take it on and to make things happen again for us. There's always that second chance and third chance and so on and so forth. But it all begins with you. So a ground zero experience in the corporate world where it's mostly used would come as a result of a situation whereby maybe a high expectation of an end result of success or an achievement has been set, but for whatever reason, it didn't happen quite as is needed. They will call that ground zero. That simply means you're already at the bottom. There's no other place to go, right? When we're at the bottom, there's no other place to go down than to come up. So what you do in a ground zero scenario is number one to understand how did you get there? How did you get there? And the how you got there would have a myriad of answers, a myriad of answers of how you got there. You didn't get there because you didn't do your best. One thing for sure, you have to understand what did you do? What made you get there to the extent that you are now in a situation that you're not getting the results you want or the results you wanted. But that doesn't mean that your head has to be down. You continue to stay strong and stay focused in a ground zero experience. How do you assess what you did or what you didn't do that you are thinking this is what should have been done, this is what was done, and so on and so forth. As you think about those things, you want to also underscore your effort, your effort. You've got to validate yourself in the whole process. Remember, you are the one that will rebuild again because it's not over. It just means at that point you are at the you are at the lower part of where you expected to be. But you know there's a higher up of where you need to be. So once you assess that you can do it again by evaluating what did you do. In all the what did you do, what did I do scenarios, you would always find answers on things that went well. Is it the hours you put in? Is it the work that you have to put in? Is it the sleepless night? Is it the reading? Is it the researching? Is it the evaluation? Is it the networking? All of the things that you put in matter, guys. You've got to validate that. So that helps you to know that you put in all that work and that you can do again, put in other types of work. This time around, it might have to be a little different. The narrative might be tweaked a little, but you've got to validate that you were able, you have the ability, you have the tenacity to even go forward and start. And because you started and didn't quite get the answer and you went down to ground zero, means that you who started before with a thorough evaluation of what could have gone better, you will be able to do it. So you want to validate yourself. Validate, give yourself a pat on the back. It's not the time to hold your head down and feel like, oh, I have failed, or oh, it's me, it's somebody. And it's not a time to point fingers either. Because the worst mistake is to point fingers and to say, oh, this person should have done this, or that person should have done that. That is called distraction and disruption to your elevating from a ground zero experience. And you clearly never ever want to be around distractions and disruptors. Talk less of you being the one. And you don't want to be that for yourself either. You clearly do not want to have in your head thinking through who should have done, what should have done. The bottom line is, where are we now? Where have you found yourself? And where we found ourselves is ground zero. I've been through a few ground zero experiences in my corporate America. I've been through that. When I left corporate America to start my own serial entrepreneurship journey, started my own mortgage company, I went through some ground zero moment because when the economy had tanked, I left a fine, good salary job in quest of entrepreneurship. And thankfully, I got started with a mortgage brokerage firm during the meltdown. I didn't know it was a meltdown. I just thought business was slowing down. So all the effort that I was putting in and even depleting resources I had, because quite young, energetic, still full of life and hardworking, I didn't know that it was beyond what I was doing. So your ground zero moment is not always going to be about what you have control over. So let me tell you that for a fact. So in my case, I didn't have control over it, but I did not know during that time that I was in a moment that I could not control. I was looking all within to say, what can I do? Put the hard work in, put the money in. But it was beyond that. The economy was going down. That wasn't going to be a Remy solution. That was going to be someone who was in that pay grade to ensure that things got corrected. What am I saying? Give yourself credit. But in my situation, that ground zero went flat because the mortgage entity that I had worked hard for depleted resources to ensure that I continued to grow, didn't know something bigger than me had happened. Oh, by the time I woke up and smelled the coffee, I knew that this was beyond a Remy solution and not just a God solution. It was an economic situation that I didn't see coming. So I had to kind of shake it off. One good thing, and I say that worked for me was, as I am building in everything, I am not a monolithic leader who just thinks about one thing. I count myself as a leader who has experienced so much with so many varieties of experiences, so many results that I have seen through people, through myself, that there's the strength in me that knows that I can do it again. The how to do it, I don't always know. I just know that there's that energy in me. So during this ground zero moment, a lot of people still thought things were all that. They thought that I was still doing what I needed to do, because you could never one day see it on me. Not that I was hiding it. That's just how I am wired. Because I had to sit back and say, Remy, what could you have done differently? What did you do? What could you have done differently that you didn't do? And if you did it, why did it not work? So in my layman Remy do you lay hindsight, I knew immediately that where I had not seen was that economic downturn that was already in the air. I was all gun ho in my business, selling, helping clients to get homes, getting them to grow in their home ownership. But I didn't pay attention to the economic piece. So, guys, what are you not paying attention to that is important? Those are your secrets to getting yourself from a ground zero moment. For me, I had to be at that ground zero moment to now know that, oh, that's what I didn't do. And I realized that going forward, it was not just what was happening within my corporation, as much as I thought that. We could do a lot of things. There are other factors that were happening. For instance, recently, all of us went through the COVID moment, and I know so many businesses lost their passion for what they have built. They lost money. We lost lives. People who lost lives were there. So during that moment, a lot of businesses went down, and maybe a business that they have built and they have fought for to make stand went down. But that was not something that there was nobody that saw COVID coming. I didn't. If you did, please let me know. Maybe I need to be friendly with you so I can learn some of those things that are coming on hindsight. But it did stop a lot of businesses from dreaming for a minute. But does that mean you stay stuck? No. That is why Bridge to Freedom program is for you. Because you cannot allow yourself to stay stuck in a ground zero because there will be ground zero moments, guys. As much as we live, we are going to go through various phases of life and various seasons of life. That means that at some point, some things would happen that will be beyond your control. Hey, it's what it is. Always come back to a position of you validating the efforts you've put in. Also come back to a position of assessing your network. Your network. What is that? Who are those people in your circle? I have gotten to a position that I know for me, my leadership strength is influencing and also execution. A leader who is an influencer who cannot execute, it's not a good combination because then you're going to just be full of talk and excitement and you excite others. But because I know personally that I have a shoulder that people are leaning on, as I am leaning on shoulders of my mentors, I know that my shoulder has to be strong enough for my mentees or for those who want to learn one or two things from me. And because that is important, you do not let a ground zero moment get you down. Some of you knew that recently I ran for office. We put all of the effort, as much as we worked hard, we raised money, we raised people. We didn't make the top three for the position that I ran for. But can I sit back and say it wasn't worth it? It was worth every minute of it. Were there some lessons learned? Absolutely. Were there some strategies learned? Absolutely. Were there things that we would do differently next time? Absolutely. That is what you learn in ground zero, especially if you're letting your passion drive you into your purpose. First, you have to understand that you are in your purpose. And again, you might not know what that is. Join the Bridge to Freedom program. I didn't always know what my purpose was when I started my journey as a teenager in a land that now is my own space. I didn't know. I just knew that I wanted to make impact. I wanted to develop people. I wanted to be able to help people. I believe that there's nothing that cannot be done if you put all your best in it. I also knew growing up that it was not easy. We had a father who made us to believe that you can be all that you want to be, but the catch is you've got to be able to work at it. And you won't always be in the popular ring. There will be people who don't see what you're carrying, and it's okay. But you better see what you're carrying, because if you don't see what you're carrying, you're not going to be able to carry it. Or you will still think you're carrying it when it has slipped through. But a Bridge to Freedom program will clearly help you to clarify that which you're carrying and who should you carry it with. Who should you carry it with? In a ground zero moment, you clearly know emotionally there's a little ups and downs. Physically, there's fatigue. Financially, a little brokenness here and there. And sometimes health wise, it affects all of that. But you cannot stay in that lane because the future that you don't see is greater and is farther. What you see now is what you see. But the future that's ahead of you is much greater. And you just have to feel it, work it, expand your network, make sure that you do not let anything stop the buzz in you because that buzz in you is there. Because it was there when you started this ground zero moment, it didn't go away. It's called a test, TEST. We are all going to go through various tests. Some you didn't ask to go through it, but because your passion led you to it, and you sit back and you're wondering, I can solve so many other problems. Why did I have to come through this lane? Now that I try to solve that problem, I'm in ground zero. That's not the mindset you want. That experience, guys, that you learned, that experience that you went through the fire to learn in quest of serving a greater purpose. Not you. It can be about you. That passion that led you to do that. The whole universe will align with you as other doors begin to open. Because in your not giving up and staying stuck in a ground zero moment, after you've pat yourself on the back and done a little, maybe a sad moment. I remember when the election was over, my greatest mentor here in the United States gave me a call and said, "Hello, Remy, congratulations." I said, "Oh, I didn't quite make it." He said, "You did." He said, "Well, you went through all of this." He said, "I give you today to feel a little down, think about whatever, ever. But starting tomorrow, we need to meet. And that meeting is going to be about the next step because I'm proud of you. And that's my story. And that's what I want to tell you." And click, it was done. And I sat there still with the phone in my hand. He wasn't going into any long winded conversation. I'm like, what is he talking about? And then he texted me and said, we should get that appointment on the book so we can talk and see how to move on. And of course, who am I not to listen to my mentor, especially when you have mentors who you know care about your success? This person has watched me grow, has supported me off and on stage. So I knew if I don't have anybody who believed in my political uh, trajectory, he was one person I can count every time, every day. And then, of course, we met. And when he analyzed the whole thing, I'm like, okay, gave me a lot of things that I didn't know that were part of the process. And I felt better. Of course, I never felt down because everyone was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." I said, don't be sorry. Don't be in situation when you're in a ground zero moment. Don't be a pity patty. Don't let people have pity patty for you. Please. No, no, no. Because number one, it's not the end of you. It is not the end of you. The ground zero moment is a moment where you recharge again. And how can you recharge? You got to fuel yourself. You've got to constantly fuel yourself. And what I do, and I pick on myself, we're going to have a few speakers who will come and share their stories. I'm just going to pick on myself for now. Constantly be in position of service. As you're serving, you're learning. Constantly being in position to volunteer strategically because light will attract light. Light will attract light. You can never be hidden as a child of light. Even your presence somewhere without you opening your mouth, period, carries power. I've heard that said a lot about me. Sometimes I'm just sitting there, just looking, not saying anything. Your presence, but there's a way you develop this presence. It's no rocket science. It is no rocket science. It's all about you wanting to know and say, you know what? I can be more. I'm going to do more. I can be great and I will be for the good of others. And as you look for how to make other people get ahead, you're not going to stay below. No. During my ground zero moment, I was not feeling sorry and stopping to say, I can't help other people. Today is election day in the United States of America, November 8th. And please go on out if you're in America, and especially if you're in the state of Maryland, go on and vote for Westmore. Go on and vote for Brooke Lehman. Go on and vote for some of these elected officials who have put their work in. It doesn't stop there because we're part of that community. Political service is also service. So today is election day. So once you're done listening to me, the polls are open till 8 p.m. Go ahead and cast your vote. Your vote is your power. I had to rub that in. There's absolutely no way I can have a show on election day here and not say anything about it. I know you can say, "Oh, you're not in the election. Why do you care?" I care because I'm still part of this great community that I will continue to make sure my voice is heard in other capacities. You don't always have to be seated as a political office holder before you make impact. All of you can allude to that. You're in various countries that you're watching me from. You probably have things you're thinking that you want to do. Yes, you can. Your ground zero moment is just a wake up call to tell you the power you carry. How would you know that you could run an election? How would you know that you could raise that much money? How would you know that you could have over close to 4,000 people voting for you? How could you know that you could have a community that would come and stand with you if you didn't go through it down ground zero moment? How could I know that I can run a mortgage company and if it goes down, I can rebound if I didn't have a ground zero moment? But one thing you cannot let happen to you as I close, I know this 30 minutes is it's not always long enough, but we're going to see each other at least twice a week, if not more. So we'll continue to drop the nugget. And please go ahead, join the Bridge to Freedom. I'm going to post the link on the chat so that you can see what I have. And thank you for joining from all over the place. I really appreciate your joining us. So I just posted something there. Please join this so you can hear more of what we are doing and why we're doing it. This is a movement. It's not just a program that ends there. It's a movement with intentionality for impact. It's an impact driven program that would allow you, wherever you are in your journey, somebody in the pool has been there, done it. If they haven't, we can learn together, share together, and ensure that you do not stay stuck in your ground zero moment. The ground zero moment is something you dread. You're like, I don't, you everybody wants to stay successful. I always jokingly say, success have cousins. Failure is an orphan. You try to not have what you have and what people expect. Quickly, people will fade away. But when you're in a ground zero moment and you already have filled yourself with hard work, with knowledge, with great network, you know, clearly speaking, your rebounding will be absolutely possible because your network, too, as you're in that ground zero moment, they're not going to be looking at you and watching you continue to go down. Guess what? They need you because they saw your moment. They saw your elements of power, even during the process that turned to be ground zero. They saw how you showed up every time, how you carried yourself positively. Who is watching you? You don't know. Pretend that the whole world is always watching you, whether you are alone, publicly, privately. If you live your life like that, a ground zero moment can never be an embarrassing moment because it was never about you in the first place. If something was never about you, so if it didn't work, it will not break you. It will just make you and make other people rise. Like my run has inspired other people who were just watching the political space, who are looking and saying, oh, if Remy can do it, I can do it. That's what's needed. But it had to take a Remy to have a ground zero moment for other people to wake up and join the bandwagon. So join the freedom, the Bridge to Freedom program, guys. This is where we can dialogue. This is where we can talk to one another because I believe that each and every one of us can achieve our topmost goals in life. It doesn't matter what level you're in right now. It doesn't matter at all. It just matters that you have the heart. It matters that you have taken time to evaluate what could you do differently and why should you do it. And once you have all that done, guys, you've got it. We have got it. Nothing should stop us to be stuck in any situation that still has a level of advancement. Nothing. You know who can stop us? Us, you that's watching me. If you stop yourself, that's when you can stop. But if you do not stop yourself and you have people saying things or doing things that you feel like is because of you, get off that mindset. Get off that mindset. Nobody wakes up to be worried about somebody. If they do, shame on them. Worry about how do you pick yourself up. How do we pick ourselves up? That's what I did. I'm like, now that I was down, I'm like, okay, where can this energy be channeled to continue to serve and pay it forward so that other people who are dreaming will not stop dreaming just because you want to dwell in your ground zero moment? So you might need to change your network. You might need to get educated. You might need to get retrained, guys. I don't know for you what you would need, but you've got to be true to yourself. And in the Breach to Freedom program, you will learn those moments. I do have an opportunity of meeting, talking to you for 15 minutes. If you wish to be on the call, we can do that. And of course, you can join the Bridge of Freedom Facebook group where we will dialogue and meet each other on at least once a week to talk together and to build together. It's about building. Freedom is not free. So never ever take that word freedom for granted. There are people who have paid the price, but you better plug in so you can truly have the word freedom exemplified in your life. We can all use the word anyhow. If I ask everyone that's listening to me right now and say, what does freedom mean to you? Anybody wants to chat me up and say what that means? It won't be the same for all of us. It will not be the same for all of us. But guess what? Freedom is not free. The price was paid by someone. And like I said earlier, the someone might not have been you directly, but it was paid for you. And just because it was paid for you, that gives you the freedom to find yourself and to be able to ensure that you pay forward, that you build, you shake off that ground zero moment and you keep it moving. Keep it moving because other people leaning on your shoulder need that shoulder to stay active, to stay engaged so that they continue their journey. So if you've listened to me today and you hear this and this is something that you want to join us and be part of this movement, please don't look any further. The link scrolling on there. You're also entitled to a 15-minute call that you can enjoy under my leadership. Be there. Let's get it done. Let's make sure that together we can build. We can build and build that life that we desire, that life that truly, truly can give us the joy that we need and that other people need through us. Always know it's not about you, it's about others too. And once they see the value you carry, that value is going to make them want to build their own value. Peradventure, they don't have a value built yet. The ground zero moment is that moment to rediscover yourself and to make sure that absolutely nothing, nothing, nothing will stop you from having that great, great mindset of wanting to do better and be better. Seasons and times will come. Seasons and time will come because you are someone who maybe somebody believes that you have the answers and you're thinking, I don't know if I have the answers, but we can build, we can feel ourselves. A ground zero moment is that moment where you sit back and you evaluate yourself. It's that moment where you sit back, you evaluate your network. It's the time that you sit back and say, do I need to retrain? Do I need to get more knowledge? And you're true to yourself. This is a moment that you speak to yourself to understand what truly do you want in life and what's important and how do you get it. For everyone who have listened to me, if this is something you're interested in, please don't look any further. This is not just another program. This is a movement. This is an ability for us to come together to ensure that we share demonstrated best practices, demonstrated practices that were not the best, that we knew now what made it the best. That's where you need to be. Breach to Freedom program is for you and I. Let's come together. And some of you have expressed interest in learning some of my experiences, this is the place to be. And there are other people who have greater experiences who also will be talking to us. So once again, thank you for joining. I appreciate your time, and we look forward to seeing you on Thursday, same time. And if you're in the state of Maryland, you're in the United States of America, please go on and vote. And please, if you are in the state of Maryland, vote for my friend Westmore and Aruna Miller as incoming governor and lieutenant governor for the state of Maryland, and for the comptroller, Brooke Lehman, and all of those blue ticketed leaders. So go on and do your thing. I'm going to go back and keep supporting the leaders in my community. Ground zero doesn't have to stay ground zero. Go out there and be that person and do more and be more. Take care and blessings.